Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? I'd like to speak to you about the clicks thing. Again, we've made one video about it, dealing with a particular theme of this plot. Here's another theme which hasn't been addressed, as far as I know, by anybody on social media, and certainly, obviously, not in the mainstream media. Julius Malema said in a tweet, "Clicks South Africa, see you tomorrow. Fellow fighters and ground forces, attack!" Block letters, capital letters. And that was in response to a Clicks advertisement in which they showed, it happened to be a white woman, hair, nice hair, lots of body, and what do you call it? Wave or bounce, or I don't know what the words are. And another white woman with flat and fine hair, spindly hair, without body, very flat. And there was a fourth picture, and then there was dry and damaged hair. Now, one of the characteristics of black African women's hair is, I don't know how to describe it, I'm not qualified, but it bothers black African women. Not me, but their hair tends to be dry and damaged. It is a black African female concern, just as Caucasian women are. Some of them don't like the fact that their hair doesn't have very much body, that it's flat, and that it's very fine and spindly. In the same way, it might bother a black African person that their skin complexion is too dark, as black African aunties are famous for viewing a newborn relative, a newborn child, and commenting on how dark it is or not. Famous for it. Not me, them, and by their own admissions, just by the way. It is a renowned thing amongst black people that the aunties will come and have a look at the baby, and the first comments they will make are about the color of the skin. I don't care. And just as I have a bit of a problem with the sun, you can see these blotches on my face. I was born freckly. I always had freckles, but these blotches come from years of working as a lifeguard on Amanzimtoti Beach, Nyoni Rocks Beach in my teens and 20s, and not using sun protection. Because I have this pale, sort of freckly, Irishy, there's lots of red hair, freckles, and pale skin in my family. Okie dokes. So, Clicks was advertising Tresemme products for rectifying these problems that various races and various peoples have. And Julius Malema said, attack. Clicks then sought an urgent interdict. They brought an application in the High Court for an urgent interdict against the EFF's proposed protests and demonstrations. And the interdict was initially, it has since been granted, but I want to address the initial thing. It was initially rejected with costs. Application rejected or dismissed with costs, meaning that the person who brought the application is responsible for paying the costs of the other party. So Clicks brings the application against the EFF. The EFF incurs legal costs in the process, and the application is dismissed by the High Court, and Clicks is liable to the expenses incurred by the EFF. So it's a rejection out of hand, you might say. Rejection out of hand. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that some of you watching this are not conservative. I know that some of you have found success in life through intellectualism. In other words, in the utter absence of any shred of common sense, you have been able to do well because you played the game by its rules. You assimilated, you inculcated the necessary values and skills required to be a doctor, an accountant, or a lawyer, or a plumber, or a marketing marketers, I beg your pardon, marketers, advertisers, publicists, and live events people, I think are funny people. As I say, in the utter absence of anything that may be described as wisdom or common sense, you are an intellectual in the true sense of the word. And this is how much of the world operates today. The majority of people, successful people in the world, are not particularly bright, but they operate according to the rules and they get somewhere. Good for them. To people such as yourselves, I know that it is very difficult to believe that there could be anything sinister behind the enormous coalescence of prejudicial events prejudicial to the norms, values, and mores of traditional, successful Western civilization. I know that when the media says to you, golly gee, it's just an accident, and Cyril's going to fix it, you believe every word. You are, bless you, close to imbecile, and that's understandable. There is, in fact, a scientific phenomenon which addresses this. It's known as the Dunning-Kruger complex. I beg your pardon, the Dunning-Kruger effect. But it is time that you begin to apprehend, to grasp, that in real life, in the real world, such events, particularly when they coincide, when there's a coincidence, an incidence of two or more, when they coincide, it's not enormous accident. You must begin to understand that when courts begin to dismiss with costs applications to interdict unjustifiable damage to private property, that we are merely a step or two away from the all-out revolution. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to like what I'm saying. I don't care. I don't care about you. It's not that I hate you or that Suidlanders hates you, but we don't exist for the purposes of taking account of irrational, postmodernist, moral relativist, liberal argument. I almost said reasoning, but there is, and it can be demonstrated quite persuasively, an absence of reasoning in it. That's not what we're here for. Nevertheless, we are endeavoring to help you to understand that what we're saying, much as it might sound wild and woolly and right-wing and neo-Nazi and whatever to you, is in actual fact correct. It is correct to assert that events occurring in South Africa now are an articulation of and an expression of the progress of the national democratic revolution, into whose second phase Cyril Ramaphosa said just in the past few days. Today is Wednesday. I think it was Thursday or Friday of last week. We have now entered. Ladies and gentlemen, you must begin to grasp that these events, such as the rejection or the dismissal with costs of Clix's urgent application to interdict the EFF's planned proposed attacks on the EFF shops, is as a matter of fact an expression of the progress of the revolution. It is deliberate, it is intentional, and it is being conducted according to a stipulated agenda. And we're here to warn you that when it starts going this way, it's well advanced. And that was not the end of the story. You will have noted in all of the online videos of the protests and demonstrations at and the attacks on the Clix shops, the absence of police in those videos. When the do you know what anarchy means? Anarchy means without authority. Like an archbishop is the most senior of bishops, right? Anarchy is without that seniority, without that authority, without that government, without that. When the authorities, knowing what is coming, do not deploy police to the willful destruction of such property and the inhibition of the free commerce of those companies or of that company, you must know that there are dim times ahead. You must know, like all of your friends who've packed for Perth under whatever bull dust pretext that you fell for, you must know that dark times lie ahead, and you must stop believing what the media and the government feeds you. I don't know what else to say. May God have mercy upon us. May He open our eyes. May He permit to fall from our eyes the scales, as the Afrikaners say, the pearls, the cataracts that blind us to the blatant realities around us. Thank you for watching this video. I wish you all of the best. Bye-bye.